show you some of the books that I recommended to my non-reading boyfriend. I mean, it's a bit of a paradox because he read these books, but he didn't read before I started reading again, and yeah. If you like Bookish ASMR, consider subscribing. I upload 2 times a week, on Wednesday and on Sunday. But let's just get started. So, the books that I recommended to him, I feel like if you have a non-reader, you have to give them books that are really fast-paced or have a really cool story, and they can't be bored at all while reading that book. And what I also love about reading is just beautiful writing. I think there are things that you can do in literature that are very, very special. So, of course, I could give him I don't know, Freida McFadden book. I haven't read any books of her, to be honest, but people say it's really fast-paced, but they often don't fully enjoy the book or think it's a wonderful book. So that's not what I wanted to do. Yeah, so you will see it's a bit of a mix of genres, and yeah, let's just start with this book. So all these books are German editions, but they are all available also in English. So this is called in German Die Ladenhüterin. Die Ladenhüterin by Sayaka Murata. And the English title of this one is The Convenience Store Woman. This book is extremely short, which I think makes it a good book to recommend to a non-reader, because I feel like, especially as non-readers, I mean, I don't want to say that people is not a reader if they read, but it's not as much as, for example, I do, but I don't know how to say it. Non-regular reader, let's say that. I think oftentimes they want to finish the books even if they don't like it. At least that's what I see with my boyfriend. So I always think a short book is a good thing, because even if he does not like it, it will not take such a long this takes place in Japan, and yeah, it's just about her, yeah, working there, and she doesn't really fit into society, so all her passion, all her thoughts go into that convenience store, even though it's not like her store or anything. She's just hired there. Um, yeah, but it's a really interesting book about like society, what happens if you don't fit in, don't want to fit in. Um, yeah, I think it's a really interesting book, and it's a kind of story that I feel like is maybe best told in form of literature, in form of books, and that's what I want to recommend to people. Um, very, very interesting stories to really show how cool literature is. I feel like, yeah. So I think this is a good call for that. And he also said that it was really, really interesting. Yeah, maybe not like his favorite of all time, but that's okay. That's okay. So, yeah, let's continue with short books. So, this is a classic, and I feel like also not like non-regular readers. I mean, that's all just my thoughts. There is no study in that or anything. But sometimes I feel like people say, okay, I really, really want to read, and I wanted to read like, I don't know, Pride and Prejudice. I really want to read it, so I will start reading now, so I will start this book. And sometimes that's not such a good idea, I feel like. For me, yeah, that wouldn't be a book that would have brought me into reading, I think. But I think there are classics that are also suitable for like non-regular readers. Um, yeah, of course, I'm speaking like very much has only like 140 pages, so maybe in English like 120 or something, I don't know. Very short and pleasant read. Yeah. And then let's talk about a book that I haven't talked about before. And that is Ich gebe dir die Sonne. Ich gebe dir die Sonne. By Jandy Nelson. The English title of this one is I'll Give You the Sun. I'll Give You the Sun. And this is actually like one of the first books that I also read when I got into reading. And I really, really want to reread it because I can't remember it that much. It's like, I don't know, 3 years ago or 4 years ago nearly. This is a YA book, and it's about two siblings. They are actually also twins, and it starts when they are 13 and inseparable, but 3 years later they don't talk with each other. Something has happened that destroyed their world. Noah, who before painted all the time, now doesn't do it at all, and the popular Jude is like very lonely and stuff. I roughly translate the book. Jude finds back into life and back to Noah when she meets a mysterious artist and a wild boy. A wild, unwiderstehlich. What is unwiderstehlich? I don't know. So the boy she meets is wild, but also like she can't resist him. That's like a feel word. So what I really, really love about this book is the writing style. As you heard, one of the twins is a painter or like an artist, and the chapters are sometimes told in his perspective and sometimes in Jude's perspective. And I remember that the paragraphs in his perspective are so beautifully written. And I also really like about this book how the two people, you really feel in their chapters that it's their personal POV. They really feel like two different people that tell their story. And I think Jenny Nelson did an excellent job. Yeah, it's a really, really heartwarming, cute book, but also sad. Yeah, I really, really, really liked it. And my boyfriend as well. It is rather thick, but for this one I think, because the writing style is so beautiful and the story is so cute, yeah, it's also a good choice. And as I said, it also brought me back into reading. Yeah. And I have two books left, one classic and one like fantasy, I would say. Let's start with the fantasy book. This is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, and I've talked about this is about. And for the first, like, I don't know, 20, 30 pages, he was also a bit like, yeah, what the fuck. But then this was really, like, I think is one of his favorite books now, and also one of mine. So read it, so it can be one of your favorites too. Yeah, so this is a story about Piranesi, who is a man that lives in a very strange world. He lives like, if you see this picture, it's kinda what you can his world expect to look. I feel like it doesn't really hit the spot. But he lives in this huge building with big halls. There are statues everywhere, made of like stone, and these huge, how's it called? I feel like every time I recommend this book, I don't know what Säule is in English, but the things that go from bottom to the top in a room, you know. Yeah, so that is kind of his world, and in the like rooms more downstairs, there is water in them. Then more upstairs, you can like walk. No, no rain, no ocean or something. And if you like walk even more upstairs, there are the clouds, and yeah, so it's a really, really strange world that he lives in. And yeah, he goes through these rooms. He thinks of himself a little bit like an scientist. He writes all the stuff about the rooms. Um, yeah, and yeah, the story goes from there, I guess. You can't really say a lot about it because you have to find out by reading it yourself. Yeah, I'm very passionate about recommending this book to people, so check it. Yeah, I really, really liked it. I think this is a fantasy book that is really made for people loving literary fiction, and I would say I love literary fiction. I'm not a big fantasy reader. This is a perfect mix for me. Yeah, and the last book is also one that I have already recommended. My last video, no, my second last, where I recommended paranormal books. And that is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. And yeah, this is also a classic that I feel like is very accessible, and very cool just to read. I mean, I feel like everybody knows the name Frankenstein, but in case you don't know what happens in the book, it is about a scientist that is named Frankenstein, and he builds a human out of like, yeah, other parts. I don't know. It's he builds a human, and that human actually lives, but he doesn't look very he's also just a creature trying to be loved, to be accepted, and yeah, but at the same time, yeah, nobody wants to have anything to do with him. The people are scared. It's actually